Hi, hello, and welcome to today's Assemble This video. It is all about creating this really sweet card from a Valentine's card kit, though I'm going to be stretching my theme by changing it up with a thank you sentiment. And I'm playing with some die cuts and stamping today, which are two of my favorite things to do. So let's get started to gift somebody this really cute thank you card. I'm using all the supplies from the January 2024 WIC Kit card kit. Includes a stamp set, a really cute pattern paper pack, and adorable little dies that are an envelope and a little letter that we can include in our theme today. I'm starting out with my card front. I'm going to be using lots of die cuts today. First up is the postage stamp nesting dies. And I'm going to be covering my card in this craft cardstock, but I want another die cut using that craft. So I'm going to sneak a little piece from the front that will be hidden by all my layers later. And then to embellish that, I just die cut a tiny little heart from some of the paper in this pack, and it's just a cute little addition right to the center there. Next up, I have the scallops and arches nesting dies. I have one in white and one from the pattern paper. And then I die cut that really cute little heart letter from the kit from just some plain white cardstock. And I love the little pinprick hearts in the background of that. Next up is the little envelope that comes in this kit. And it's perfectly sized. I love the size of this. All you have to do is score the flaps. It will fold perfectly fine without the score lines, but if you want a more crisp look, I recommend going ahead and pulling out your score tool and giving those lines a score before you fold them. Now I'm going to be keeping this envelope open, so I'm only scoring the bottom three flaps. The top flap is the one that's really pointy, so I'm scoring the bottom three, and then I'll fold those up and seal off the bottoms with some glue. The score lines just make this really super easy and crisp, but again, you don't have to. The flaps will fold where the bend is. And then I'm just going to use some liquid glue. You could use regular tape adhesive as well if it's thin enough. This doesn't have to hold anything like in the mail, like we're not going to be mailing this envelope, but you just want to make sure that you only get it on the flaps so you don't end up sealing all those flaps to your envelope and you can't slide anything in there. Great, I'm just going to set that aside and leave that block on there just to make sure it gets a nice adhesion. Up next, let's do all our stamping. I have all my stamps that I want to use from the stamp set. I'm using Peach, Bellini, and Craft ink. And I'm just going to use the scripty words over that heart letter. I just thought it layered over that pattern really well, so it's almost like I wrote a letter to somebody. A nice little love letter. Next, I'm going to create almost like a little postage stamp. I'm using Peach Bellini and Craft ink from Gina K, and I really like this circular pattern postmark that says hello love, and then the little squiggly cancellation stamp right on top of that. And then I'm going to layer on this cute little heart right in the center of that circle. It's just kind of fun to play with all these little elements, and they can really be customized to whatever you want to use for your project. This set comes with a sentiment that says you and me, but since I want to stretch my supplies here, I'm making a thank you card, so I'm just going to focus on the you part of this sentiment. I stamped it once and I didn't quite get the impression that I wanted, so I pulled out an old school tool. This is a Stamp-A-Majig, and it just allows me to repeat stamp a few times so I get a nice solid impression. And then I'm just going to cut this out right on the lines, so it just focuses on the you in that sentiment. Perfect. So going back to that craft postage stamp that we created earlier, I saw this cute little airplane in the stamp set and I just had to use it somewhere. So it's going on this little postage stamp die and I'm using that craft on craft and it's just really cute. I'm doing almost like a border around the heart where the heart's going to be on this little die cut and just using those cute little paper airplanes. I couldn't leave it alone. It had to be in my project somewhere. And it was really easy to do. So I took that heart off that I had already put down, and I'm going to put it back on with a little bit of liquid adhesive. That way it really sticks. Isn't it cute? I just love all the little stampy elements in this stamp set. Now this is a fun little trick so your die cut words match your project perfectly. I'm using cherry red ink from Gina K, and I'm just going to create my own cardstock, I guess, colored cardstock, and saturate that white cardstock with the ink, and then I'll die cut my word thank from the red cardstock. So if you don't have the perfect color cardstock, you can always make your own. Now I have these foam adhesive sheets from scrapbook.com. I've never used them before, so I thought I'd give them a try. I want to pop up the sentiment, so I ran that through my die cut machine. And then I do have a few tips for you. Since this was the first time that I used these, I learned a few lessons. First, it die cut really great, but there were a few things on the back that didn't die cut perfectly, so I grabbed my X-Acto knife just to make sure I cut the backing all the way through. Tip number one, do not take this away from the foam adhesive if you're going to be layering another Think die cut on top. I tore mine away and I wish I would have left it in there because it would have just made everything simpler for me in the end. Right now, everything kind of bends on its own, so I would leave it in the sheet and then just take off that top covering for the word and then place your colored die cut on top. And then when you're ready to use it, you can kind of cut it away from that sheet when you're ready. So I'm just going to set mine aside after I did all my fiddling and have my tips for next time. So let's start assembling. I'm just going to create a white card base. This is an A2 4¼ by 5½ card base, just from some Nina Solar White cardstock. I'm going to cover the front with that piece of craft cardstock that I had from earlier. Just going to line that up and then I'll trim any edges if I have to. Next up, we'll layer up our scallops and arches die cuts. It's really cute, doesn't it look like the front of a little mailbox? And then we'll layer up all our other little elements with the heart letter and then lift the edges up so I get a little bit of dimension. And then we'll just glue the envelope down on top of that. Add a little angle. Next up is our craft postage stamp. I'm just adding a little bit of glue to the front. I want to make sure that I don't glue it to the back of the envelope so I can slide something in later. And then we'll pop up the small postage stamp over to the side. I'm just going to add some foam adhesive to the corner and then I'll glue down the other side directly to the envelope so they're kind of on the same level. Just like that. And then we'll add our sentiment, starting with the die cut word thank. Just going to pop out all those pieces using my X-Acto knife or a pokey tool, and then I placed it down lightly in case I wanted to move it later. And then we'll add some foam adhesive behind the U from the stamp sentiment. And I did want to move it, so I just picked that up and placed it where I wanted it, gave it a good tack down this time, and then placed my U right underneath the thanks, so we have our thank you sentiment. Now this is fun. If you want to add a little gift to your card, just slide in a gift card right behind that cute little decorated craft postage stamp. And here is the final look. I just love the theme of this WIT kit. It's very Valentine-y, but you can stretch those stamps and supplies into a thank you card really easily and add a little gift card if you'd like as well. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you are inspired to give this a try. Be sure to like and subscribe to catch all my future video tutorials, and I hope to see you again soon for another video. Bye!